Being a parent is probably the most challenging job anyone will ever have in their life. And it's probably the only one that doesn't come with some sort of employee handbook or rule book. Well, Dr. Russell Hyken wrote the book, The Parent Playbook, and joins us now with a little bit more detail about your book. It's kind of like a question and answer session.
It really is. It is a playbook on how to parent.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably like an employee handbook, the equivalent to that.
Exactly. You know, when you want real problems solved, just go to the book, look through the table of contents, and you'll see it right there.
And then are these questions that are posed in here, are these questions that you've heard from real parents?
Yeah, you know, before becoming a therapist, I was a school teacher. So through my years as a school teacher and then in the therapy room, these are the questions that come up. A lot of families aren't seeking help for big, major problems. They just want to know how to get along every day.
Yeah, little things like nagging, for example. I know that was a question that came up. You know, do you nag your kids a lot? Should you nag your kids a lot?
Why would we nag our kids? I mean, think about it. You know, is that 23rd time really going to make a difference? Ask them once. It's the way you ask them. Promoting positive communication will make the difference in getting those tasks done.
Something else that came up when I was looking through this book that I saw was fighting.
Yeah.
You know, should you and your spouse have a disagreement and get into an argument, should you do that in front of your children?
Modeling healthy fighting can actually be a good thing. Now, there are certain things you don't want to fight about, you know, money or things that go on behind closed doors. But when you argue in front of your kids, if you can show them how to resolve the problem and also let them know that people that really love each other sometimes don't get along, that's a really positive message.
Now, as kids grow up, obviously things get a little bit more complicated. They become more understanding of rules and you know, society, and maybe a little bit more defiant as well. You talk about video games. You know, that's a huge influence on kids and whether or not kids should be playing with video games 24 hours a day or attached to their cell phones or whatever it is that they're using these days.
Yeah, there's so much going on with that. So with video games, I think you have to look at their use and limit it. And if you start early, that's really not a problem as they get older. When it comes to texting and using the phone and screen time, you really need to evaluate what they're doing with that. You know, most kids text and they don't talk on the phone. So you may see 3,000-4,000 text messages and 20 minutes of talk time. So kind of get good perspective on it before you plan to have a conversation with them.
Now, in your experience, first as a teacher, now as a therapist, over the years, does it seem to you like it's more difficult now to be a parent, or are the challenges still the same? They've just evolved?
I think the challenges have just evolved. Probably one of the major differences between when my parents were parenting me and me parenting my kids is that, you know, two working spouses sometimes makes it a little bit harder to enforce rules and to run the household. But generally, it's just an evolution, and that's just sort of where things have come to over the time.
Now, obviously, every family is individual, every family is different, but kind of on a most general scale, what seems to be the biggest challenge that families face in terms of their relationship with each other?
Well, I think having positive communications on a regular basis. You know, the subtitle to the book is More Discussions, Fewer Arguments. And one of my goals is to help parents model good communication skills, because what happens is that they'll start to come to you with their problems before you go after them.
All right. Well, Dr. Russell Hyken, thank you so much for joining us. Again, the book is called The Parent Playbook, designed to help make parenting maybe just a little bit easier.